Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webcast, Are You and Your Candidates on the Same Page? Sponsored by Symphony Talent. This webcast has been pre-approved for HRCI and SHRM credit. Please be sure to attend the complete webcast in order to receive your credits. You will receive an email from hr.com within 2 business days, which will include your certification credit information. You may also log into hr.com and go to your View My Credits page where you can see the credits you have received. If you have any questions during the webcast, click on the Q&A in your webinar controls and enter them there. I will post a link to the slides and the exit survey in the chat area once the presentation has started. A new tab will open in your browser with the webcast survey. Please be sure to complete it as soon as the webcast is ended. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to Marianne Deming, Brittany Brown, and Michelle Sanchez-Bickley.
Thank you, Hester. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Marianne Deming. I'm Manager of Strategy and Client Services at Symphony Talent. And on behalf of Symphony Talent and Renown House, I welcome you to the webinar. Our topic today is how teams are rethinking their approach to talent acquisition. And are you ready? Are you and your candidates on the same page? But before we begin, let's just take care of some basic housekeeping. This is an interactive event, and we encourage you to submit your questions and feedback throughout the session by using the Q&A feature in Zoom. At the end, we'll provide as many responses as time allows. And the session is being recorded and will be available on demand. So if you're joining the conversation on Twitter, please use @SymphonyTalent_. And if you're in a conference room with your colleagues, give us a shout and let us know that you're out there. You can go to the next slide, please. And I'm going to do some introductions for the speakers today. Again, my name is Marianne Deming. I've been working in recruitment, marketing, and technology for about 30 years and have managed a wide range of client projects, mostly in the healthcare industry. And joining me today is Michelle Sanchez-Bickley, Vice President, Human Resources at Renown Health. Michelle has been the Vice President of Human Resources at Renown since 2008. She's more than 20 years of HR leadership, with 16 of those years in healthcare. Michelle is passionate about the healthcare Renown delivers, and she's proud of the work that the employees do each and every day. She's also heavily involved with the community, serving on the boards of Nevada Works, Education Alliance, and Nevada Association of Employers. Michelle is also an advisory board member for Western Governors University and has been appointed to the Nevada State Apprenticeship Council. We also have today Brittany Brown, Manager of Recruitment at Renown Health, and Brittany has almost 10 years of human resources experience in her current role. She's responsible for developing and implementing innovative recruitment and staffing strategies for all areas within the health network, with a special emphasis on a well-qualified and diverse pool of candidates, timeliness, and cost-effectiveness. And finally, Lynette Bellin, Content Marketing Strategist with Symphony Talent. Lynette works with clients across healthcare, hospitality, and retail, and she has focused her career on digital marketing. In addition to representing the Renown brand, Lynette has also represented the brands of General Motors, Microsoft, and Reno Tahoe. And Lynette is going to join us for the Q&A session. Today, as I mentioned, we're discussing the change that we're seeing in talent acquisition, the digital transformation, and the importance of the role that talent acquisition teams play, what it means for their business, and the role that employer reputation also plays in helping to manage the corporate reputation. And these same principles, that we're going to hear today can be applied to any brand in any industry. But I'm really excited to share the Renown story with you. Renown's a great partner of ours, and they're just always willing to try new things. And that's just one way that sets them apart from their competition. And we're featuring Renown today because they are a brand that's transforming the way that they approach talent acquisition to support their organization's most important growth and business decisions. And Michelle is going to share a little bit about Renown, their location, and some of the challenges that they face. Michelle, and you can advance to the next slide, please.
Thanks, Marianne. What a great introduction, and we are so pleased to be here with you all. Just to give you a little context about Renown overall, we are a not-for-profit integrated healthcare delivery network here in northern Nevada, sometimes confused with Vegas. We're actually quite different than that and really nestled in the high desert of what we would call the northern Nevada Sierra Mountains. We currently have about 7,200 employees across our network, and we have 3 hospitals, a healthcare hometown healthcare division, and we also have a rehab hospital, and we have home care. So we're really a whole suite of services that we offer across a widespread local area. Reno is really a top location for hiring. So we are currently facing an unemployment rate of a 3.7% unemployment, and a market that is really diversifying in terms of the types of industry coming to our area, which means for us more and more challenges relative to recruiting. So we have partnered with Symphony related to really taking a look at how do we not only recruit locally, but really externally outside of our northern Nevada area and nationally. Some of the things that we've done at Renown, obviously, is we are really about our community and the patients that we serve, but we're also looking at innovative approaches within the work that we do. One of the recent partnerships that we did for innovation you may have heard of, which is called our Healthy Nevada Project. This was a project where we are actually using genetics and DNA to test and research and identify things that are within our community that frankly, our population may not even know what those disease states are. And by identifying that and going direct to the consumer with what some of that feedback is from their own genetics, we're able to potentially determine programming and what kinds of positions we may need to hire in the future to really help take care of our patients. So we really do try to be innovative in our clinical areas, in the services that we offer to our patients, but also in terms of what we do for our employees and how we attract that talent. So we have those recruitment challenges, just like I'm sure many of you on the call do, but it's really been a fun approach for us to try new things and to really try to get that talent here to Renown. So thank you for allowing us to share some of our story with you this morning.
Great. Thanks so much, Michelle. And what a great story you all have to tell. And Brittany is going to share some information from her side on the recruitment management team. So you can go ahead and advance to the next slide. And Brittany?
Thanks, Marianne. So we are facing challenges, like Michelle mentioned, I'm sure similar to everybody on this call. It's nothing unique to our team. We have an increased workload. We need to hire more and more, and honestly at a quicker pace. And so we're always focusing on our time to fill to ensure that we're bringing in top talent to support our leaders and the initiatives that they have in the organization. But what's a little bit unique for us is obviously quality for us is number one. So we do want to have our quick time to fill, but we have to ensure that these people are top notch because they're really touching the people here in our community and caring for them. And so we have to focus and kind of balance quality with our time to fill. What's a bit unique for us in healthcare is that outside of our clinical roles that you would kind of assume with healthcare, is we have several non-clinical roles that we're really competing with industry all across town here. And so when we talk about hiring IT or marketing or even HR, we have, housekeeping, we have dietary, all of those types of positions you'll see in several other industries here in town. And so we have to focus and really share a message to our candidates about why you'd like to start your career in healthcare and the impact that you get to have on the folks that you interact with every day that might be a bit different in another industry that their skill set would also translate to. Also, like Michelle mentioned, we have a limited candidate pool sometimes here in Reno. We are definitely changing as a community, but sometimes the niche talent that we need, especially on the clinical side, but also on the non-clinical side, is sometimes challenging to find here in this area. And so we've done quite a bit of work over the last few years partnering with Symphony to really share the message of who we are as a community, as why somebody might want to relocate their family here. But because that niche talent is challenging to find, but we're really trying to set ourselves apart so that we are not necessarily just seen as, okay, you guys are Las Vegas, but really what is Reno and what can somebody give back to their community by working at Renown? So those are some of the challenges that we face. Again, probably nothing different than anybody else does, but sometimes a bit unique given our industry.
Thanks, Brittany. And that's really interesting. And you touched on about Reno not being Las Vegas. And I think that's really key too, because I know even with me before I went to visit you for the first time, I had a misconception about what Reno was all about. And it is very, very different. It's not Las Vegas at all. And you have a really tight-knit community. And that's a really great story to tell. And I know that you're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. So I won't steal your thunder there. But, you know, we're always talking about the limited talent pool and how unemployment is really at an all-time low now. And that really does affect, you know, the talent that you can find in your local market. And sometimes you do have to go out of the area. And so companies really need to make sure that, you know, they're getting in front of the right candidates with a consistent message across all of their touch points, whether they're inside their local community or they're going out of market, so that whenever a candidate does see your message, it's consistent with what they see all along and how they interact with you all. And you can advance to the next slide, please. And that brings us to the two types of job seekers. And Bill Borman, who's a leading industry speaker and advisor and founder of True Conferences, did some research for Symphony Talent on this topic. Bill looked at data from over 100 career sites and social accounts during 2017. And out of that research, you know, he was able to determine that there really are just two types of job seekers. There's the job seeker that, you know, comes in from a job search and then goes directly to the landing page on the career site. And they're really looking for enough information once they get there in order to make a decision on whether or not they're a fit and they should apply. And then there's the social job seeker that takes quite a different path and comes in from other sources and sees your messages elsewhere. And they respond to maybe not so much ads or search, but they do respond to people. They respond to content, nurturing, referrals from other people. And they really do just look at multiple pages or sources and make multiple visits before they decide to apply. In fact, most of these candidates see or interact with a brand more than 12 times before actually making the decision on to apply. So each touch point, you know, in this process is really important, because that's where the candidate actually forms their perceptions about the company, you know, the sentiments regarding the organization or the organization's processes, practices, information, and their people, right? So these exchanges are really the foundation from where the candidate experience is really determined. And if that candidate is then going to decide that they're going to continue in the recruitment process with that organization, or they're going to abandon, exit, or even maybe alter other stakeholder relationships because of the interaction that they have. And today's candidates are really savvy, and they really want information easily accessible to them. And they want the process to be quick and easy, right? We're all about easy and quick these days, and the candidate isn't any different. And Renown faces these same challenges, you know, that other companies face. And you can advance to the next slide, please. So if we talked about the different ways on you know, how a job seeker gets to a career site and where they land once they do get there. So now let's talk a little bit about what their expectations are, right? So think about when you go to a shopping site, for instance, and you start to see ads and messages being shown to you after that for the item that you just searched for. And then maybe you see 2 or 3 other items that you might like, right? Well, today's job seeker, they kind of expect to have that same sort of experience with their job search. And we can apply the same principle to recruitment, giving them a great candidate experience. So let's talk about that for a minute. But first, Brittany, why is it important for Renown to have a better candidate experience?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier. It's all about quality, and it is a tight market. And so we want to ensure that any interactions we have with our candidates are sharing our brand with them, and like you mentioned, a consistent brand. But we have to have quality candidates for both our clinical and non-clinical roles. So it's challenging, and so you have to make sure that you're sharing that message consistently.
Right. And it's also really important that your employer brand message resonates with your audience. And Renown does have an authentic employer brand, and that's just another way that sets them apart, you know, from their competition. But just having that employer value proposition alone isn't really enough, because they really have to engage with their candidates where the candidates are, right, online or offline. And so through an omni-channel approach, we tell the Renown story across all of the candidate touch points.
Yeah, and our career site is our hub basically for our employer brand. That's where a lot of folks are seeing us first. It has a lot of great information that really does, I think, share who we are as an employer and as a community. But we wanted to make sure that we were bringing the most relevant information forefront, so that the candidates didn't have to go search through pages to find what they were looking for, but that it was really serving up what was meaningful for them.
Right, and that's right, Brittany. And at Symphony Talent too, we've seen other clients have success in hiring quality, just by doing this, by creating that personalized candidate experience. So that's what we're in the process of doing right now with Renown. And Renown is also very much data-driven, which is really great. So we looked at the traffic that comes to their career site, and we noticed that about 30% of their visitors come in through a mobile device. And that just reinforces, kind of what we already knew. The digital transformation, it's real, it's here. And so we need to deliver that quality candidate experience, no matter which device an individual uses, right? Either mobile or desktop. But then you combine that with the fact that candidates most often land on either the home page or job description page when they get to the Renown site. It really became evident that we needed to work toward personalizing that candidate experience. And so you may be asking, what is career site personalization, right? Great question. It simply is allowing us to share relevant content to candidates when they land on the site. And we do this using artificial intelligence. So again, it's kind of the same premise as a consumer site. And so when an individual lands on the career site for the first time, they'll see the default homepage. But then based on whatever their interaction is on the site when they visit, the next time that individual visits the site, they're going to be served content that's relevant to what they searched for before. So they don't have to, begin another search that they were doing previously. All that content is going to be shown to them automatically. And then when an individual lands on one of the job description pages, that page normally just includes a really long list of duties and requirements, right? So it's really important to note that, when a candidate does land on a job description page via a media like Google or Indeed especially, and that's where most job seekers do begin their search, it's often the first interaction, that individual has with your brand. So if it is the first interaction, we really want to ensure that we're delivering an experience that really helps that candidate make a more informed decision, right? Like, do they align to the job? Do they align to the culture? And then ultimately, are they going to take that next step to apply or not? And if they don't, that might be okay. They might not be a good fit at this point. And we're in the process of building these pages for Renown as well. Keep in mind, hopefully we'll have another webinar and we'll be able to share the success after the pages are all built. But these pages are going to contain the job description and the requirements, all that necessary information that you have to have. But we're also going to include some video, some employee testimonials, some career path progression, and really other relevant content that's going to be an easier to read format that's really going to speak to the candidate and make them make a more informed decision, or help them make a more informed decision. But we're not going to stop there. We're working toward taking the candidate and recruiter experience to the next level. So we're going to integrate the Symphony Talent CRM with Renown's existing applicant tracking system so that we can create a really simplified experience for both the recruiter and the candidate. And so this is just going to help speed up that communication and engagement process with the candidates. So by using all of these tools in combination, this is really how we can deliver quality candidates. And we're hearing more and more about the candidate experience. And some of you in the audience, may be wondering, why is it important, or just how important is it for the candidate experience in all of these aspects? And you can advance to the next slide, please. Well, our research shows that 46% of candidates with a poor experience say that they will sever the relationship with the brand. And that really speaks to how, the employer reputation can also help in managing the corporate reputation, and how closely related and intertwined the employer brand is to the success of the business. And according to a recent survey by Talent Board, 74% of candidates who rate their experience as a great experience say that they'll definitely increase the employer relationship by either applying again to another position, referring other people, or even making a purchase where applicable. And 63% of job seekers will likely reject a job offer due to a negative candidate experience. That's pretty powerful information. So really, what is a candidate experience defined as? It's really an overall perception of the total organization, really all interactions with the brands, no matter what. And really what I've learned in this industry over my 30 years is that a great experience can really be defined as messaging with a personalized approach, giving that candidate, what they need, the ease of discovery, research, gaining enough information for them to really make an informed decision when they get to your brand or your site. How easy is it for them to express an interest in the organization or that job? And the importance of a mobile responsive site. Is your career site, easily visible on mobile, and is it interactive so that a candidate can actually interact on their phone or tablet? And then interaction with the brand throughout the entire process. And then some of the common pain points, that I hear a lot of, there really isn't a logical process to this. Or I've submitted my application, but I haven't heard anything back. So it's like that whole black hole syndrome, right? There's a disconnected experience across the touch points, or maybe the forms are just too lengthy, or they're just too complicated, or simply they have an unpleasant interview. And so combine that with all the other noise out there, all the media overload. How does your brand stand apart from not only the competition, but every other ad and video that's out there? And Michelle's going to share some of the success that Renown has seen, with them using content marketing, social initiatives, and including the use of employee ambassadors, or talent advocacy, as we like to call it. So if you can advance to the next slide, Michelle.
Yeah, so it's a lot of information I know that we're giving to you all, but I think it helps set the stage for some of the work we've done. We, as Marianne mentioned, did a lot about our employee value proposition when we came up with what our content marketing and social campaign should be. And as we had mentioned earlier, Northern Nevada is really kind of a unique geography where a lot of people don't know what we are about. And really, one of the things that is important to us is how our employees love what they do at their work each and every day, but also how they enjoy our community and geography. So our content marketing strategy was about trying to put those things together of how the work they do is meaningful, and at the same time, how do they love where they work and play. And so that's what you can kind of see in these couple of slides in terms of highlighting a key role, as well as what is Reno really about. So I am very proud of our team, because I think the thing that they do really well is try new things, and they're willing to be innovative, and hopefully I help support them in those endeavors when I know they have high rec loads, which probably some of you do on the call. But it really is about how do we try new things and see what's working and what's not. So in our social strategy, we did go live with several platforms. So we have used Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've even done, of course, LinkedIn, but we even tried to do some things on Pinterest. Believe it or not, we got candidates through that. So trying new things and see how that works and tie everything together and really kind of tell our story. So we'll talk a little more in detail about some of that, but it really was talking about our employees of why they love what they do and how do we share that. So one of the tools we've also used in our social strategy is a talent advocacy tool, where we have several employees who are ambassadors, if you will, that get on our platform, and they actually push out content on their social media platforms, which has been significant because we get a lot of impressions and clicks. Because one of the things we know when Marianne talked about candidate experience is they want to understand who we are as an organization. And candidates look for that. They look what your social site is. They look to see, can I find a story about it? What do employees really say? What do they really feel? And so for us to take those stories and share them, I think has been really really important. And as Marianne mentioned, of course, being the head of HR, data is really quite important. We want to make sure that we have an appropriate return on our investment. How many impressions are we getting? How many clicks? And are things actually translating to hires and engagement? And what we have found through this strategy is it is working. We've also found when something maybe isn't working, a campaign or a particular thing, that we do pivot and look at something different. But some of our most popular content are the stories from our own employees saying why they love what they're doing. So I think that just kind of gives an idea. And we've mentioned a little bit about just our location and branding and our limited talent pool. So part of our other social strategies have been to target those areas of the country that maybe have, I know this is hard to believe, that maybe there is a surplus of nursing or folks who are coming out and they're not able to find jobs. And at the same time, take a look at the cost of living in those areas and how it compares with us, and actually target those states. So using social and content marketing for how we target, similar to some of the conversation that Marianne had, but when a candidate if you're a customer at Amazon and things are served up to you because you know the behavior, that's really what we're trying to do, is serve up things without people maybe even recognizing that through impressions and things that show up on their page based on relevant content. So there's been a lot of work in that. And, telling the stories isn't just what I do for a living, but it's also work-life balance. Healthy Tracks is one of our programs, and so we have done Fitbits for our employees. We have a grassroots employee campaign on health and wellness, and they actually have done a lot of work around contests of biking to work, and actually one of the committees actually got community artists together to come up with a bike rack for putting their bikes to bike to work, and they actually came up with a whole bike shack that was funded. And so telling those stories where you can connect kind of hearts and minds and what our organization is about has been, I think, a really important part of the work that we do. We do have several partnerships with local colleges and our university, and so we tell those stories as well. And just our environment. So finding those things that our employees care about and how we share that story, I think, has really made a difference for us.
I agree, and for the employees as well, right? It's got to be really great for morale for them too, and to be excited about sharing that content, because I know that some of those employees come to you and ask, how can I share content too? So that's really great. And in fact, Brittany is going to share an example of one of the social content marketing stories that we did for them that was really, really effective. And so if you go to the next slide, and then Brittany, if you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So this next story was one that I think caught me off guard a little bit, and honestly completely exceeded my expectations for the impact that it had on our candidates and on our employees and our community. So this was a story we posted around our housekeeping environmental services team. So much probably less focused on our community, but more about why the work they do every day is important to them. As you can imagine, we have the casino industry here in Northern Nevada. And so we have several housekeeping folks that work within the casino industry. So we told this story more of, why is it important to you to work in housekeeping within healthcare? Because you can do your job several places here in town. And so why do you choose healthcare every day? It's stressful, it's challenging. So they really just told their story. We interviewed 3 of our EVS folks, and really they just talked about why they come to work every day and why this is meaningful for them. And it gained so much traction, as you can see there, with the impressions and clicks. And I think something that came out of it that we weren't even expecting was just the engagement for our employees. We had their family members congratulating them on social media. A lot of times for housekeeping, they look at their team more as the unit that they maybe work on rather than the larger environmental services team. And so we had nurses from the units that they work on, congratulating them. And it built a ton of excitement around this group, which again was just I think a plus that we weren't even necessarily expecting. Yeah, and I really appreciate you sharing this, Brittany, because it was really
so neat to watch how this all unfolded at the time too. And really the fact that your employees, reached out to this individual, thanking them and supporting them really speaks volumes to the Renown brand and culture, right? And it really speaks to the whole topic of the webinar. And so if you can advance to the next slide, please. So, oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, that's not the correct slide. But anyway, we'll just talk about this anyway and keep this slide going. This really hits on the whole topic of the webinar, really, because are you and your candidates on the same page in an abstract form, right? Are you on the same page? Are you meeting eye to eye? But then in the literal sense, are you on the same page? We talked about brand to see, if you're on the same page in a brand regard. And then are candidates really identifying with your employer brand? And are you tracking that right fit talent? But then we're also talking about the career site page too, right? Are you on the same page, or are you bringing the focus to your enhanced job description page? Because that's where, you see most of your candidates come in through. And then also thinking about those two types of candidates. So are you on the same page in that sense? And then in this case, we're talking about, the content that you're using to nurture your relationships, whether that's through social or through drip campaigns or emails. Really, how are you resonating with the talent that you're trying to connect? So on the same page in that sense. And then that brings us to the whole recruiter experience, right? And then the challenges that they face. And we did talk a lot about the candidate experience, but really just as important is the role that the recruiter plays too, right? And in a recent state of recruiting survey, 62% of recruiters say that their job is more difficult today than ever. And then 59% say it's more difficult to get quality candidates. So, it's just a common theme across every industry, across the nation, really. And then some of the common pain points really that I hear are, there's such an increased hiring volume. We have more rec loads that we're responsible for. Maybe the hiring manager feedback is slow to come, and we're concerned that we'll lose a good candidate because of that. Diversity is a huge issue too. Combine that with the candidate shortage already and low unemployment and all the other competition out there, and then candidate ghosting and engagement, is really lacking there. But Brittany really knows all about this, and she's going to talk about, what they're doing at Renown to help make the recruiter's job a little bit easier. You can go to the next slide now. And then Brittany?
Yeah, so again, we talked about the challenges earlier, and you guys are experiencing probably the same thing, and our jobs are more difficult today, but I think it's the thing that we all love about recruiting as well. So it's a plus as well. So our team, I'm going to give you guys a bit of context around who we are as a group, and we aren't perfect by any means, but with partners like Symphony and honestly the support from our leadership team, we're able to adjust when barriers arise and really try to implement something a little bit different to ensure that our recruiters are still engaged and love what they do every day, because it is challenging. So we're a team of about 10 in-house recruiters, and we have anywhere around 500 to 600 positions open potentially at any given time, and that can range from our most entry-level positions in dietary, environmental services, sterile processing, to our really niche, tough-to-fill positions like our Epic IT folks and our really specialized nursing positions, lab scientists, so a real variety of what we're recruiting for. But I think what makes us unique, and honestly one of the reasons that we love working here at Renown, is we're all housed in the same area. So it really allows us to candidate share and bounce ideas off of each other, and really try to think about what role is best for the candidate. They may have applied to one role, but we can go talk to one of our teammates and think about something that they maybe have on their desk that would really engage the candidate long-term and help them with their career here at Renown. So it's one of the things that we love. The second, I think, is that we get to partner with our hiring leaders every single day, and we are really close with our leaders, and I think they trust us, and I think we trust them as well. So it makes our relationships easy. We get to go partner with them and see what they do every day to really ensure that we understand their business. And that way, when we are talking to candidates, we're giving them an accurate picture of what their day is going to look like every day. So we're blessed in that sense. But we do continue to focus on the recruiter experience. And we've done several things to ensure that they get to focus on the things that they love every day. We do have full cycle recruitment here at Renown. And so anything from the moment a rec posts until basically the person's in new employee orientation, our team is involved in their process. So we're obviously focused on process improvement all the time, right? We have to be more efficient as those rec loads continue to increase. And so we use tools from transformational healthcare to ensure that we have lean processes and that we're efficient in what we do. One of the examples of that is we've implemented pre-qualification and ranking questions into our applicant tracking system. So the pre-qualification questions are basically what's required of this person, the bare minimum, what do they have to be able to do this job? And that way, if somebody answers no, that they don't have that experience or education or licensure, they're not even getting through the application process. So it's allowing our team to only focus on people who really do have what they need to do the role. And then the ranking questions are kind of the nice to have. So our hiring leaders can give us yes or no questions to try to float to the top, if you will, the people who now have the things that are required, but also have these other skill sets or experiences that they think would make them top talent in their area. So those are a couple of the process improvement things that we've done. We're always looking at how we leverage technology a little bit better. Again, we want to allow the recruiters to focus on what all of you and what our team loves, which is nurturing our candidates and really getting to get to know them and focus on that candidate experience. So anything we can take away behind the scenes to allow them to do that more is our goal. Whether that be our CRM tool, which really allows us to behind the scenes push messages with Symphony Talent's help to candidates, again, using artificial intelligence to understand what they're looking for. We can send them personalized messages at any given time to just kind of keep them engaged in our brand. With our content marketing and social media, we've obviously used that to engage and also source candidates, again, behind the scenes, so the recruiters aren't having to do as much. They can come and say, okay, you guys, this is a really hard to fill position that I have, but I've done some research and I think that this is going to be an area that we could potentially tap. We've hired folks from here before. And then behind the scenes, Symphony helps us push messages again to folks that meet that criteria. So hopefully it's serving up folks that are what the recruiters are looking for, and they can start to engage in the recruitment process. So as we plan for 2019, we're going to continue to leverage media optimization. We've seen quite a bit of success in our pilot, and so we're going to continue to ensure that our media kind of sends everything to one place and really maximize our return and streamline some of our dating and reporting. The last thing, again, I think just is one of the things that any of the recruiters on our team would tell you is we have the support from our senior leadership team and Michelle to really go try new things, and I don't think that's always the case. And so I think that's really what's made us successful, is that we're allowed to go try things. And if it doesn't work, like Michelle mentioned, we redirect and we go try something different and see what pieces may have worked that we could potentially incorporate into a new campaign. So I think we're really trying to redefine the way we approach recruiting to ensure that we're supporting our organization and the business decisions that we've made and the growth that we're projecting, and really trying to be that strategic partner for our hiring leaders.
Thank you, Brittany. That, is really great information, and I'm sure everyone on the call will agree. And I think that you are so fortunate because you do have the support of your leadership team, and that really, is a big help, I'm sure, to you. But your team is really amazing anyway, and you're always so forward thinking, especially, about how you redefine the HR function and how you want to be, and you need to be a true partner to the organization and to your business. So that's really kudos to your team and Michelle too, and your leadership team for helping to support that. And really, Renown is not afraid to try new things. They tell us, we want to be the guinea pigs. We want to try this, and maybe sometimes it doesn't work, but again, we can fix that. We can look at all the data, making sure think what works, what's not working, and then we can fix it on the fly. So that's really great too. And if you want to advance to the next slide, we talked about a lot of things today, right? We talked about the two types of job seekers, the candidate experience, location challenges, skills shortage, the importance of using data and making your decisions, the recruiter experience, and not afraid to try new things, right? But I think probably the three key takeaways from today are, using that personalized approach to really winning quality candidates. We've shown that it does work, and candidates really come to expect that when they're interacting with your brand. And then the importance of nurturing candidate relationships through things like drip campaigns or content marketing and social media and all of that. And then also, again, we talked about this, the need to access the data, what's working and what's not. So from the recruiter side, this really, helps recruiters hire more efficiently, and it frees them up so that they can really focus on the relationship building, which is really what they're ultimately meant to be doing. And now I'm going to hand it over to Lynette. She's monitoring the Q&A. So Lynette, what questions do you see?
Okay, the first question that we had come in is, what kind of success have you seen using personalization?
Okay, I can answer that. We've seen significant impact related to conversions using personalization, and it's usually between 50 and 70%. So it's been really great.
Awesome. Thanks, Marianne. What about the job seeker who is looking for multiple types of roles? For example, someone that's nursing but also looking for management opportunities.
That, you know, if they're going to come to the site and they're going to do a search for nursing, right? They're going to conduct a nursing search. The next time that they come back to the site, they're going to be served that nursing content. But then if they, you know, change their search parameters when they come back again, on the next visit, it just automatically updates what they were looking at the previous visit. And it also does really depend on you know, what categories are set up within the organization's ATS and what candidates, what categories they're personalizing.
Awesome, thank you. So here's another one. How do you approach social media for recruitment?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, our partnership with Symphony has been key because they're able to, or they allow us to kind of get out in front of what are new trending ideas on social media that honestly sometimes I'm not even aware about. But I think our approach, especially early in our launching of the career sites that Michelle mentioned on the various social platforms, was really not about posting jobs to our candidates, but was telling our story. And so we were highlighting who we are as an organization, who our employees are, what they do out in the community. And honestly, there wasn't much on there at all about positions, but trying to really build a foundation so that when somebody did consider looking for employment, Renown was top of mind because of the things that they've seen around who we are as an organization, what it's like to work in or to live in the Reno area, and just really tried to build that good foundation.
Okay, and what has helped Renown House stand out on social media?
I think it's been partnered off of that first topic there, but I think it's really been allowing our employees to share their stories. And so Michelle mentioned earlier, when people are looking for employment, they don't want to hear what the recruiters say because we obviously think Renown's amazing or we wouldn't work here. But they want to hear what the employees who actually do the work that they're considering doing, what they say about working here. What does their work-life balance look like? What is it like to work with their team? Are they an engaged group? What's their leader like? Are they somebody who they feel supported by? Do they have career opportunity and career development opportunities here at Renown? And so we've really tried to tell all of those stories with people who, this is not anything canned through marketing, but it's just really raw, letting our employees tell their story and tell why they love working for Renown.
And I just might add to that a little bit as well, that I think the other thing that has been sort of a domino effect, if you will, is besides the content that we help curate and push and our employees push, we now have employees because we actually did get an award for most social friendly organization. And what's happened is employees are sharing stories that we don't even curate for them. So they might in the ICU, for example, be part of a baseball team, and they are actually sharing those stories with future candidates and have Facebook pages for their departments and units. So we're seeing it kind of spearhead in other areas as well as a positive. I know sometimes people might be worried about negative things that happen on social media, but we are really seeing that. We did a hashtag for Renown Life, for example, and we did campaigns around that and told employees wherever you see things that are going good, share it. And so we've had that. And then the other piece I might add, besides the work that Symphony has done for us, we have a really good partnership with our internal marketing communications team. So there's a lot of content they do that is more customer facing, but we can take and we can basically repurpose that same content and use it from a customer or recruitment standpoint. So I think having different ways to look at it with different partnerships, both from the employee standpoint and from some corporate communications, has helped with that.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, this is the last question that came in, is what are the best social media platforms for recruitment? Or I guess in this context, where have you seen the most success?
Yeah, so again, we've launched career-specific pages within Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. We also do quite a bit of work on Glassdoor, as we know that's a common place that candidates go look about the organization that they're considering. And honestly, we've seen success on all of them. Again, through that talent advocacy program, we've allowed our employees to push content onto LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well. And so those are, I think, probably the three that we're most active on from the employee's perspective as well. But we see success on all of them, and we try to share a similar story on each, but kind of with a bit of a different twist depending on the platform and what we think makes the most sense. We've done Facebook Lives at some of our events. Michelle mentioned earlier, we have grassroots employee committees around diversity and green and React. And so we've done Facebook Live events at those, and those seem to be really, really popular, probably more than I expected. But similar to the environmental services story, I don't know if it's mattered as much the platform as it has the content of the story. And when we're highlighting one of our employees and the work that they do, those seem to be the stories that get the most interaction on the social platforms.
Great. Okay, well, that was all the questions, Marianne.
Okay, Lynette, since you manage the content marketing for Renown, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I think the best way to summarize it is like what Brittany said, is so many employers want to start off on social media just posting jobs. And it's really much more efficient to tell the story of your employment brand and then to sprinkle in the job opportunities. We like to think of it more of a courtship and also just staying in people's peripheral vision so that they build awareness of your brand, they're comfortable with your brand, they trust your brand, so that when they are motivated to make that career switch, your brand is top of mind.
Great, thank you. And Michelle touched upon something earlier too, that companies are afraid, organizations are afraid maybe to go out onto social media for fear of what, some people might say or not say, but you really can't worry about that because they're saying it anyway. And by using all of the tools that Renown uses and they're able to respond to some of those reviews, right? So they can interact that way. And really, that's what candidates want to see too. They really want to see the company interact with those reviews, whether they're positive or negative. So that was just one thing that I wanted to add on top of that. So, all right, I guess we can proceed to the final slide. And I think we're pretty close to time. So I really wanted to extend a big thank you to Michelle and Brittany for a great conversation today, and to Lynette for monitoring the Q&A for us. Wanted to thank all of you too for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the discussion, and please go to hr.com for information on how to claim your credit for the webinar. This is also going to be available on demand, as I mentioned earlier, and you'll be getting a follow-up from Symphony Talent. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great day. Hester?
I'd like to thank our presenter as well as all of you for joining us today. If you'd like to view this webcast again, the archived recording and slides will be available for up to 7 days for our free members and without restrictions for those with our certification membership. The webcast credit will show in your hr.com account within 2 business days. We will also send you an email with the credit information. Your feedback is important to us. Please take a moment to fill out the exit survey that opened in a new browser page on your computer. This concludes our webcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.